Xbox has been in the news for all the wrong reasons over the past few weeks. And today I wanted to gather any and all headlines that do concern Xbox and figure out exactly how we got here. So without further ado, let's break that one all down. Up next. What's going on, guys? It's Kalo, and I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming. And if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content. Drop a like on the video, and welcome to the Level Up. So I kind of want to address the elephant in the room here before we get into any of this Xbox news. Life has been hectic over the past few weeks, hence the lack of videos. But I also feel as if me waiting to do this Xbox video came at almost the perfect time. I only say this because we have had a lot of major developments in that world, ranging from price increases on Xbox Game Pass, increases to their consoles, and now this whole Bloomberg report that highlights the main issues. So for that, let's go over to Bloomberg's own Jason Schreier, where a pretty big report by the looks of it came out. And the main thing here is that Microsoft wants 30% profit margins, and in today's gaming climate, that really isn't feasible. And whenever we do look at the gaming industry as a whole, things aren't in the best state of mind. More specifically, whenever we look at Xbox and games that were cut such as Everwilds and of course Perfect Dark recently, you kind of start to see them trimming the fat. I could be also led to believe with this whole 30 profit margin thing, they did do those studio cuts like Arcane Austin and let's not forget Tango Gameworks to meet those numbers. Speaking of meeting numbers, recently they raised the prices of their Xbox Series X and S consoles, and let's not forget how they raised Xbox Game Pass Ultimate prices to $30 a month. Now, they did try their hand at $80 games, but they seen the backlash they got, and that kind of reverted to $70 for the Outer Worlds 2. But if you ask me, I do think this is still very much a reality down the road. Now, this kind of highlights the big problem I have with Xbox. Knowing that Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty, Team Xbox, that's the important thing to note here, Team Xbox has been forced into this corner by Microsoft. Of course, this is something we've talked about before, where Satya Nadella, Amy Hood, all those people at Microsoft have this out of touch and very unrealistic look at the gaming industry. And again, whenever we do talk about Microsoft, gaming to us, while it is large, is just a drop in the bucket for them. So whenever we do talk about exclusives now, that's the big thing, and this is a story that was brought up a few weeks back, and it talks about how Sarah Bond was talking to Mashable. In this interview, she said, quote, "We're really seeing people evolve way past that, talking about exclusive games. The biggest games in the world are available everywhere. You look at Call of Duty, you look at Minecraft, you look at Fortnite, you look at Roblox. That's actually what's driving the community in gaming." Which, if you ask me, she's inherently not wrong, but there's a lot more here. That's where people gather, they have experiences. And the idea of locking it to one store or one device is antiquated for most people. You want to be able to play your games with your friends anywhere, regardless of what they're on. Now, to that, I do understand that. I do understand wanting to give games to as many people as humanly possible, and I also understand the idea of, hey, exclusives aren't really important nowadays. But whenever we do talk about Call of Duty, Minecraft, Fortnite, and Roblox, those are way different games than what we're talking about whenever we talk about Halo, whenever we talk about Forza Horizon. Again, apples to oranges there. It's been ever since the days of the Xbox One. I really do feel like Xbox kind of put themselves in this corner, and now we're using this antiquated response here to make up for that difference. I mean, let's not forget when Phil Spencer did this whole Bethesda buyout, he said it himself. This is to give Xbox gamers exclusives and only that. Now we're looking down the barrel of Fallout being available on the PS5. I do believe a game like Starfield is heading over sometime soon. I believe there's a rumor about that going over next year. And whenever I do look at the next Elder Scrolls game, hell, any of them, Fable, Gears of War, now we got Halo, I really don't think, to bring up an old-fashioned quote here, there really is no red line now. Now, does that really mean I think Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and Sarah Bond are directly lying to the Xbox fanbase? No, I really don't think that's the case. I think they went into that Bethesda merger with this idea to get exclusives for the Xbox platform. Having games like Fallout, Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls, all of that under your own umbrella would be a massive get and would drive sales for Xboxes. But you factor in that thing we talked about at the top of the episode, those 30% margins, meeting those numbers, the mandate coming from up top at Microsoft. That is what muddies the waters. And again, to bring up an old Phil Spencer quote whenever he talked about Halo, whenever we lose our way with Halo, we've lost our way overall. And now, given the recent news that Halo Campaign Evolved is going over to the PS5, we are now at this state of a major crossroads. Personally, I do think we live in a world where future Halo games will be going over to the PS5. I also think Gears of War, I also think Forza, I also think Fable. And for me personally, just as a gamer, not an industry analyst or anything like that, I don't care, I'm still gonna get an Xbox because that's just my preferred platform. I like cross saves, I like cross progression, I like the cloud gaming stuff. But to some people, and again, the Xbox platforms, it really does matter to them. And just overall, when we look at what Xbox has done over recent weeks, let alone recent months, they've been really back and forth on their messaging. And this is all compared to prior stuff they said to now, to, I don't know, maybe 3 months from now. This is all gonna get skewed yet again. And I do think this is very much a symptom of a non-unison message from Microsoft and Xbox together. I do think a lot of shareholders are getting involved. I do think the money side of things is driving all this. And you really can't fault Phil Spencer or any of Team Xbox for that. At the same breath, before you type your comments, I do think they have say. I do think they do have input on what goes where and how this all goes down. But at the end of the day, the line must go up. That is something you've heard from countless gaming YouTube channels before. And I don't think it's any different here with Xbox. I don't know, I guess kind of to sum up this giant rant here, it's more of a thing that Microsoft is really messing up the Xbox brand. Whether it be their messaging, whether it be the corporate greed they are shilling out for, it just doesn't sit right with the fan base, and clearly it's showing. So with all that being said, I'm gonna pass this one off to you guys as I always do. What do you think about the state of Xbox? Is there any hope? Because I'm sitting here with no hope, but that about does it here. I've been K-Lo, I gave you the lowdown on all things gaming, and if you're new here, feel free to subscribe to this channel for weekly video game news content, drop a like on the video, and this has been the Level Up.